Hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kathleen Rudolph.
And I'm Larry Evans, and today we're going to do something a little bit different.
Besides the over 40 interviews that we have done of theater folk around the area and out of the area, Larry's been very busy writing, directing, and producing film. And Larry, tell us about that process. I'm sure it was very exciting.
Well, they're not traditional films because I couldn't really go out to a site and take a camera and be around people. So I decided to make a Zoom recording, a movie. So what I did was wrote 3 short stories with the same 3 characters about their situations of their family life. They're also in quarantine and locked down. And that's why we have the Zoom sessions. So it was like performing a play. You just didn't have an audience and stuff. So I just finished that up. It took me maybe 4 or 5 months to put them together, and hopefully I'll premiere them pretty soon.
That's so great. That is so great. They're very good. I've had sneak peeks of them all, and they're just really, really fun. It's very different doing something on Zoom.
Well, because you're always on camera. You can't do a side like you do on stage and doing, you have to always be looking at the camera. And
something I don't do well.
Right.
I haven't done anything nearly as exciting, but in my spare time, I've been teaching classes for little ones and the 55 and older crowd. And I will say that the 55 and older crowd are absolutely amazing. I have a blast every class. I'm just having so much fun because they definitely want to be there, and they're having a wonderful time. Teaching kids on Zoom is really challenging because there are so many distractions. I've had dogs enter the scene, cats. I've had kids on the camera discussing what was for dinner with their mother in the middle of class. There's just too many distractions for them. And so I have to work a lot harder to hold their attention. So, I
think I told you that I have a dear friend in Wilmington who teaches kids acting as well, but they're all in the same building, but they're all wearing masks. And she says it's very hard to get their intentions as an actor when they're wearing masks.
Definitely. I think I'd rather do the Zoom than be in person, having to be 6 feet apart with a mask. I think that's extremely hard. So it's been challenging, but it's all fun. So
now, do they have to memorize lines?
I have them try to memorize lines. There was a class I taught where one girl at the sharing where we were recording was at the dentist's office. Oh. So I can't make this up. So it's not easy, but it's the Zoom world we live in.
Now, I imagine being 10 years old and being in your acting class and I'm performing and I'm watching everybody else to see if they're watching me and if they're bored or not, but maybe that doesn't happen, but.
No, it's very hard for kids to take turns on Zoom. So everybody will be on camera, and there's a few that will just mute themselves, and you can tell they're listening or watching a video and not watching what's happening. And one guy was actually pretending to play the guitar to some video. And I was just like, oh my God. So yeah.
No parents or kids walk in.
Yeah.
Shot.
It's life, they're right in the middle of their house. So
are you more exhausted teaching a Zoom class? Or
yes.
Yeah, I bet so.
Definitely.
But you don't have to wear pants.
But I don't have to go anywhere. It's great. Right. No, it's
Now I know that I get a lot of people ask us about the history of peak ensemble players. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay. Well, it goes back to, I was teaching classes at the Apex Community Center for Raleigh Little Theater. And then Apex decided to take their town hall, which was previously the jail, which was previously the farmer's market, and make it into a theater and an art gallery. So the Halle Cultural Arts Center came about, and of course my classes moved there. So I was teaching at the Halle, having a grand old time, feeling very excited that I actually was on a stage for class, which was amazing. But I noticed that they always rented the place out constantly. Every night there was another group coming in to do something. And so one day I said to them, why doesn't the Halle produce something themselves instead of just having a rental? You have a beautiful space, do something. And they were like what? And I said, like a play. And they were like, okay, do that. And so I did an Aesop fable with, I think, 11 middle and high school kids. It was an hour show, and it was so successful because it was the first thing Apex actually had as far as a theatrical performance. And so that morphed into a Christmas show that I've done for kids for years, and it's always been really fun. It's always sold out. But along those years, the people at the Halle came to me and they said, we really want an adult show. We think that that would sell really well. We really want you to do an adult show. And, you know, I think people that are not in the depths of theater, they don't realize that it's not easy to do theater. Right. And all I kept thinking of was, I have to audition and do all this. So I said, if you really want an adult show, then I want to choose the show and I want to choose the people. And they were like, okay. And I was like, oh my God. So we ran with it. And the Cocktail Hour was our first show in 2013. And it was a huge success. And they only gave us one weekend because 3 shows, because they weren't sure how it was going to go. And I remember you and the other actors were like, we only got started. We're just warmed up. You know, like, it was a lot of fun for sure. And that was the beginning of the history of the Peak Ensemble Players. So.
Well, one of the things I was very impressed is that the folks running the Halle Arts Center, it was more about serving the community than how many tickets were being sold. And that was a new thing for me.
And for me, because I came from a theater background where we had to fill the seats to make the money because of the sets and blah, blah. And they were like, as long as we don't lose money, we don't care. Right. So that was, you're right, an eye-opening experience for all of us. It was really great. So, yeah, but it's not just myself and it's not just Larry, but we have a wonderful company of players, and we have invited them to kind of reflect on their experience with the Peak Ensemble Players. And Larry, you're going to get a chance to reflect too a little later on. So here we go.
I have probably been in close to 75 to 100 plays. I haven't really counted them up, but if we're counting all the way back from high school, I would say 75 to 100 plays, counting musicals.
A lot. I've done every show at the Halle that Kathleen has directed of the adult shows. So since we started in 2013, which we figured out is 8. So I've done every single one of those, which has been amazing.
55, since I got back to it.
I think the last time I counted, I've been in like 81 plays. Now the question is, how many of those plays did I think I did a really good job in? 3.
I really like performing at the Halle. I think the biggest plus about the space itself is the audience there. They are so supportive. They want to be entertained. They want you to do well. They are engaged from the moment the play starts, and we have them with us the entire time. You don't have to worry about them being a tough audience because they're there to have fun, and it makes us, I think, more relaxed and willing to have fun with them.
Well, I like a lot of things about doing shows at the Halle. It's a good stage, I think, wide enough and deep enough. It doesn't have any wing space to speak of, but it has great backstage facilities, dressing rooms with lots of bathrooms, which is important. And if we can't schedule the stage for a certain night, we can always go downstairs. There are lots of rooms downstairs, and they have lots more bathrooms, which is also important. And I like the size of the audience. It's big enough so that they can give themselves permission to laugh, but it's intimate enough so that you can really feed off the vibe from them.
The thing that makes it fun for me is Apex is my home. So we've lived in Apex, and my whole family has been a part of that community for going on 20 years now. And so I love getting to act like literally for my neighbors and people in my community. When I first started doing theater here, it was only in Raleigh, and I would leave, and it was sort of like my secret double life. And I got to sneak away and leave all of my little children at home with my husband and go off and be in plays, and it was super great. And nobody knew about it at home. And it was kind of fun to not tell them, because it was just, I did it for me. And it was such a great escape for me. And then when we started doing shows at the Halle, the jig was up.
I like the venue because I like Apex, and I feel that I'm part of the community now at Apex. So I enjoy just being in Apex, and I sometimes have this fantasy of retiring and moving to Apex.
The audience is great because you hear all their comments. Some people have a running narrative going throughout the shows, and it's hilarious to have that kind of awareness that they're there, and so that's really fun to be that close to your audience.
I like the space because it's different and it's simple. You can really kind of read anything into that space. I like it because you can do just about anything with it.
The intimacy you have with the audience, which, as I said, is about right. It's not raked, but it's big enough to permit them to react, and they do react, but you're close enough so that you can see them, a lot of them, and you can feed off their energy.
The audience is so close. They're literally like feet away from the edge of the stage, the first row. So sometimes you're kind of afraid you're going to fall off into their laps. And I think Chris did fall off the stage once and into their laps. I don't know. But I wasn't on stage. I didn't see it, but I heard it.
Well, the funny moment I remember from a production is funny only very much in retrospect. First of all, it had to do with a tech in the booth who thought he knew what he was doing and didn't. And so, for instance, there was a scene that was to end in a blackout, and it didn't, and we just stood there. And then, like with a flock of birds, does one bird decide to turn left and all the rest follow him, or do they just somehow simultaneously all decide to turn left? I don't know what happened with us, but as a group, we walk off stage.
One time, Larry, this involved you. We were doing the dining room, and we were doing the scene where you're the repairman and I'm the woman, and you come to look at this antique table, and we do the whole scene under the table, and it's a flirty scene. Well, I think I wore glasses. I was supposed to wear glasses for my character in that scene. And those scenes, we did so many quick changes backstage because we would go off as one character and we'd come back on in a totally different scene, a totally different character. So I had this quick change, and my glasses were on the props table, and I had set them down, and I picked up this pair of glasses. I was running out onto the stage, and I put them on, and I couldn't see a thing. And I was like, everything was blurry, and I was like, what is going on? Well, I had picked up Larry's readers. Larry, your glasses are really strong. I couldn't see a thing. And so we did the whole scene under the table, And it's, you know, we're kind of flirting, or I'm kind of flirting with the repairman, and I couldn't see anything. Like, I was completely blind wearing those glasses, and I had no idea why I was blind, because I didn't realize I had picked up the wrong glasses until I left and took them off and saw that they weren't the glasses that I was supposed to be wearing. I mean, I knew they weren't the glasses I was supposed to be wearing, but that was crazy.
I believe the second show I did there with PEP was Don't Dress for Dinner. And the costume designer, Jenny Mitchell, had me in a black maid's costume. And in one scene, the maid's costume is modified by tearing off a ruffle around the bottom and some white pieces off of it to make it look more like a little black dress. And at one point, of course, we're all drinking through the play. And at one point, I am knocked over onto the sofa face down, and that dress came right up to my waist. There's nothing I could do about it.
We need to clarify, she meant the characters were drinking, not the actors.
And then the other one was, of course, now I think legendary in American theater, when I had a bullhorn and was addressing a crowd of people off stage, and they were supposed to shout back reactions to me, and I was to react to their reactions. And he got the reactions mixed up, and it was interesting. So that was funny.
Okay, so we've done 2 shows, Don't Dress for Dinner and Fox in the Fairway, where a lot of the characters were slapping the other characters on stage. It was supposed to be funny. Now, obviously, we wanted a nice slap. So Mark Rudolph, Kathleen's husband, was backstage with 2 big sticks. And every time someone slapped, it was... So Tracy would swing back and slap Chris. Jenny would swing back and slap me. And it was hilarious. I would just laugh every time I was off stage hearing that slap. It's one of my favorite moments. I want that in every play I do, even in a Shakespeare play.
I mean, I think this was a funny moment. Dee was probably horrified, but after we did the dining room, and we all sat down at the end around the table, and Chris had poured the wine, and it was real wine. We didn't drink in any of the shows, but in the very last scene, he opens a bottle of wine and pours the wine, and it's the very end of the show, and we sit down, and then we get up and we do the curtain call, and then we sit back down around the table, and the curtains close. And so since, you know, the show is over, we usually toasted each other and had a sip of the wine, and we're holding up our glasses, and I had a sip, and then Tracy says a very Tracy-esque comment, and I spit red wine, spewed it. It was the most perfect spit take I've ever done in my life, and I spewed it all over the table, and it was Dee's tablecloth, like an antique tablecloth, and she was horrified, and we were supposed to use it again for the next performance, and I mean, I was kind of horrified, but it was really pretty funny. Was that on the list?
Comedy is a great relaxer. When you come to see a comedy, you expect to laugh, you hope to laugh. And laughing, I think, is a great stress reliever. We've had a lot of stress lately, and I think that a good comedy and being able to relieve some of that stress by just enjoying yourself and enjoying it with the people around you is a big plus.
Oh, it can do a lot. First of all, it promises and delivers fun, which is nice. Second of all, it greatly increases the audience's sense of solidarity, something we badly need these days. Any kind of live drama does that, but comedy especially does it in a loud and obvious way with laughter, which certainly increases a sense of togetherness. And on top of that, it enables you vicariously to participate in nonsense And yet it also shows you that it is nonsense. So it shows you stupidity, pomposity, promiscuity, whatever, getting their comeuppance. For example, I have a brief example of this, drawn from a show you'll recognize. What are you blathering about? How the hell can she be Robert's niece if she's the cook? And how the hell can you know all about her if I didn't even know he had a niece, which he hasn't anyway? And how the hell can I be sleeping with his niece if I'm sleeping with you and Robert's sleeping with his niece, which she isn't in the first place?
I think it's more communal. I think it's more unifying than when you go to see a drama. And, you know, everyone can be moved and touched by a drama, but usually people are touched in different ways. But a comedy is sort of like a snowball. You know, once the audience gets going and feels comfortable laughing and the laughter builds, it's kind of like this whole big thing is unleashed and they all have this big communal great experience. And I think that's something that we try to do every night for our audience is give them that.
Well, the nice thing about working in an ensemble is you don't have to carry the whole load and you have people watching your back. The nice thing about working in a repeated ensemble, which we certainly have from show to show, that is the same people showing up, is that it develops a sense of extended family. And you have the interest of seeing how with this next new show, people are going to fit into their slots, their parts, and what's going to stay the same and what's going to change.
We already know each other well. We have that level of trust, not only in that our scene partner is going to take care of us on stage, but we also, I trust everybody to do their jobs and to do it well. And I know that whatever, you know, however rehearsal might go, I know that everybody has a really high bar and they're going to give 100% or more to make it the best show it can be.
I really love working with an ensemble because you get to see different pieces of people. I believe that almost any role you play, you bring some of yourself to that role and you share that with the people that you're working with.
I learned a lot of things about my company members, but none of them is repeatable.
You know, I've learned that everybody has a pretty good repertoire of shows they've done and so many experiences. I enjoy sitting with everybody and listening to their stories, listening to the funny things that have happened to them in other productions, other theaters, great experiences that they've had. You know, we grow a little bit every time we do a play together because we learn a little bit more about each other every time we do a play together.
What is something that I've learned from one of the actors in our ensemble? Well, Chris Brown can take a punch.
Moon Over Buffalo doesn't fit us too badly. We'd have to add a couple of young people, but it lines up pretty well with what we've got. And it's a very funny show. So that's what I came up with, that we take another look at that.
I would love to do a show with more women and where the women drive the action.
Maybe Les Mis, The Lion King, Grapes of Wrath, and any play I wasn't cast in anywhere else.
Would really like to do Noises Off. I know that's a struggle technically because there's stairs and lots of doors, but that's a thing that makes comedy really fun. I think it would be enjoyable, and I think that we could really do a great job with it. Noises Off.
All right. So that was hilarious. That was just so much fun to hear all those stories. What a walk down memory lane.
It brought back so many memories, things I've actually forgotten about, which I don't know if that's good or not and stuff.
Well,
I don't even remember the glasses with Jenny. I guess I was so
me either.
into the scene.
See that? Me either. And what I think is so interesting is that, you know, we're all involved with the same shows, but what people remember is so unique. You know,
right.
What hits them is so different. And we're all going, what? That happened? You know, so it's just a blast. It was such a blast.
My memory for all theater is that there's several shows where I struggle a great deal in the beginning, but somehow I get through it, and my memory only remembers the good times. So I guess that's pretty good.
Like childbirth.
Right. It didn't hurt.
Yeah, right. No, that was great. And of course, there were other actors that we didn't get to talk to.
I know. We asked them, but everyone's really busy. I think a lot of people are zoomed out, by the way, as well, too.
Yes. But, you know, what's not to like when you can sit down and just laugh at ourselves, you know, as well. Yeah. So we talk about this all the time, Larry, but like what's next for theater in general, but what's next for us, which is kind of
everyone's asked us.
Very personal to us. As people might have known or not, you know, we usually did an October show at the Halle Cultural Arts Center, which of course got canceled this past October, and they have moved it to May, but in all probability, we won't be doing that inside the Halle in May either. There's a small chance we could do something outside. They do have an amphitheater, the Apex Amphitheater, but it just really depends on how close actors can get to each other, because it's a smaller stage than the Halle. So if they can't be close, they may not fit on the stage at all. So I think we just have to kind of sit and wait, right? You know.
And what shows fit that category? You know, where we're not facing each other and.
Right. Yeah. So the show we were supposed to do, as you know, is called The Outsider. And it was going to be really hysterical because it was about government and elections and all that. And we would be in the midst of it. And how fun to be able to take a break from the real world and to watch that. So it'll still be very funny next October when we hopefully will do that. But yes. Oh, well.
If we do have the outside, we definitely won't say the candidates are Republicans and Democrats. It will just be, we won't tell anybody what it is. So
that's right. I don't know that they do actually.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. But it has been a fabulous, fabulous ride so far. I mean, I couldn't have asked for better actors, better space, better shows. I really feel like we've created a beautiful niche, and I feel like we've created an extended family, like I think Chris was mentioning in his speech. So thank you for everything.
Thank you. And I think, you know, a lot of my theater friends with other companies are stressing about being, you know, not having a show produced for a year or two, but I'm thinking people will be excited when everything's calmed down, everyone feels safe. They'll be excited to come back and, you know, see theater again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Sooner rather than later, hopefully.
Right.
So, but thank you again. And thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope that we will see you the next time we are actually in person, live somewhere. So thanks.
It has been great.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.